So I got this thing. We're gonna record this to the cloud. Hey, like my mom said, continue to just kind of reach out and let people know what's going on, and remind people as they're coming in to please mute as they enter. Um, there's a lot of information, and I don't really know how long this is going to take to get through. But we'll work through it, and then I'm going to hand it back off for any kind of announcements that may need to be made to Miss Amber or my mom here at the end. But I really do appreciate everybody hopping on. We know that there's some crazy things that are going on right now, right, in the world. I mean, with the coronavirus and all this stuff, and everybody's lives are kind of flipped upside down. And, you know, I had an interesting phone call the other day. And one of the main talking points as I was doing this peek and pass for a potential affiliate was, hey, the coronavirus, and it was one of the reservations that somebody had, right, as to why to potentially not join the business. So I thought, what better topic to handle than objection handling, right? So objection handling is an important part of our business. If you have access and you are capable, please grab a pen and paper. These notes are not mine. I'm not that smart, right? So what I do is I listen to as many smart people and read as many books from smart people as possible. And so this is straight out of Zig Ziglar himself, right? The things that, he wants to talk about. But, we do understand that it's a hard time for a lot of people right now. And what I want you to remember is that from our pain and hardship, right, that's what comes our inspiration and our passion, right? So I'm going to start this off with a short story. I don't know how many of you guys are college football fans. I'm a fanatic. I love Ohio State. That's like one of the things I look forward to each and every fall is, the start of Ohio State football. This is not about Ohio State. I want to talk to you about a man named Ed Ogeron, who is the head coach for a very prestigious university, a Power 5 school in the SEC. And Ed was born in LaRose, Louisiana in 1961, right? And like a lot of kids in that era, right, he grew up playing all kinds of sports through high school. And, his dream and his passion was football, and he wanted to play more than anything at the Louisiana State University for the Tigers, right? And in 1979, when he was 18 years old, Ed's dreams came true. He was able to walk on to the football team at Louisiana State, and he thought, wow, this is the pinnacle. Nothing could get better than this, right? But after only 1 year, he had limited playing time. He was having a hard time in school, and Ed had to transfer to Northwestern University, another small school there in Louisiana, right? And he was a little defeated, but, once he got there, he integrated with his classmates. He made friends. He was able to play defensive lineman for the football team, and he successfully made it through 4 years of college, and he graduated with a degree. And like a lot of people who have a real passion for the sports that they do, I shouldn't say a lot of people, but many people, he looked to pursue that at a higher level. And with his college playing days over and him not being a great football player, he wasn't going to go on to the NFL. So he had talked to the coach, and he was able to take an assistant coaching job at Northwestern University, right? Well, Ed was successful at Northwestern. He had a really gritty attitude. He had a lot of passion. The players loved him, and he was able to take numerous assistant coaching jobs over the next many years, right? So in 2005, the stars aligned, and he was able to take a head coaching job at Ole Miss. But unfortunately, after only 2 years, he was let go. He had tried to, be the puppet master down there. He wanted to have his hands in everything because he had so much passion and so much he wanted to share, and his desire to win was so great, right, that he just tried to control everything, and he smothered people. And he had a very mediocre record, a poor record, to be truthful. And he was let go from his job in Louisiana State or at Ole Miss. Well, that kind of shook him a little bit. He went back to being an assistant coach, took a step back. He was an assistant coach for a couple of NFL teams. And then in 2010, he landed an assistant coaching job at the University of Southern California. So Ed was living in Southern California, right across from the football stadium, in a hotel, while his wife and kids were back in Louisiana. And he was busting his tail every day. Again, the players loved him. He was an amazing recruiter, which we know is super important in college football. And like I said, he was beloved by the program. And in 2013, the head coach was fired. And Ed was given an opportunity to step into a head coaching role for a second time in his career. And USC's program that year was very, very, they had a bad vibe. You know, the culture there was really bad. I think they had won like 2 out of their first 7 games. When Ed stepped up to take the head coaching job, they won 8 out of the next 9. I mean, it was really an amazing run. And everybody was saying, you know, Ed's the man for the job. But Ed was from Louisiana, and he had a really gravelly voice with a really heavy Cajun accent, and he just didn't fit into what University of Southern California thought the persona of their head coach needed. And so after a few months, after the season was over, everybody was feeling good, and they were curious if Ed was going to get the head coaching job. And USC ended up passing on him, and he wasn't given the head coaching position. So again, you know, he was kind of beaten down, and you know, after being looked over for promotion, you know, to really hold that head coaching job, you know, as his job, they went a different direction. They offered him a huge bonus to stay as an assistant, to just recruit, to just work with linemen and do what he's been amazing at doing. But his heart was really in being a head coach. So that year in 2014, Ed took a walk. He left USC and stepped away from football for a year. In 2015, he got a call from Louisiana State University and was offered another assistant coaching position. And after that time away from football, Ed realized how much of a passion that he had for it, how much of a love he had for the game, and how he truly wanted to be associated with LSU, just like he always has since he's been a kid. So he graciously accepted the assistant coaching job. He was already in Louisiana, you know, and he went there to be an assistant coach. And about 3 games into the season, once again, the head coach of the football team was fired. Les Miles was fired that year. So they called on Ed again to step into the role and be the head coach. And he had a good season. It wasn't a great season, but in 2016, he was offered a head coaching position, right, for the Louisiana State University Tigers, team that he so drastically wanted to play for so many years as a youngster. His true passion, his dream had come true. He was a true part of that football team, an integral part of that football team. You know, and it was Ed's struggles that really has led him down the path that he needed to be led down. It was the hard times that gave him, you know, what he needed to find the success that he needed. In 2016, later, the first year that Ed became a head football coach, there was a guy by the name of Joe Burrow who had his own path in college football. He played or his dad was a head coach back in Ohio. He grew up playing for him in a small town called Athens. His dad was a coach at Ohio University. And Joe grew up and wanted to play for the Ohio State Buckeyes. And again, at 18, his dreams came true, and he signed on to be, you know, a quarterback at Ohio State. After 2 years of riding the bench and very, very limited playing time, Joe reevaluated his position and entered the transfer portal, we call it now, and ended up going to Louisiana State University, where he met up with Ed Ogron. Fast forward 2 more years, and we hit 2019. You have 2 guys that basically have had nothing but hardship throughout their time. They've had to readapt, rethink everything. You know, a head coach that's bounced around from many teams was not strong enough to play football for his dream team. And, you know, he had to go do something different, but he always kept his passion. Another guy who just loved the game so much, you know, and they ended up meeting at the same university. In 2019, those 2 men came together and they won a national championship at Louisiana State University, right? So just understand that, you know, when you have hard times, these are opportunities. These are opportunities to grow and really instill in you what it is that you're going to need later on to do something absolutely amazing. So right now, I understand things are tough. Things are, you know, they're hard for everybody. Things are different, right? what you need to do is you need to look at that as an opportunity, right? Keep a positive mental attitude, like I know everybody on this call does, and continue to push forward. If we do those things, we're going to have amazing results. I use sports, Kelly, because sports translate to many different things in life, but it's competitive and it's hardship. Some of the most passionate people that you'll ever find in the world compete in sports. That's why we use that analogy. So what we're here to talk about tonight is objection handling, right? Objection handling is absolutely something that you have to do well in order to find massive success here. Again, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. The material that I'm going to talk to you about comes straight out of the Zig Ziglar playbook, all right? But this is what I want you to know, right? And again, I hope you have a pen and paper and you're writing this stuff down, all right? Objections, right? Objections create the need for the salesperson. Without objections, there is no need for the salesperson, right? Does anybody have to sell you on the idea that you need to eat food? No. Does anybody have to sell you on the idea that you need soap for your bathroom so that you can bathe? Absolutely not. Those are necessities. Those are needs, right? But what there is a desire, what there is a need for is someone to explain the difference and essentially to objection handle, right? When someone says, well, hey, well, what about this? And that's what your job really is. People who have objections, right? They are looking to be encouraged by you to make the purchase. If they don't have an objection or if they don't have a question, right, then they're not interested. I would say that those two things run hand in hand. How many times has somebody approached you with something and you didn't even really reply? You dismissed the concept of it altogether. How interested were you in the things that they were offering, right? So understand first and foremost that objections, right, are it's an absolute opportunity for you inside of your business, all right? So there's a simple formula that I'm going to talk about. And again, this is straight out of Zig Ziglar's playbook. And we're going to run through it by the numbers. But there's two things, right, that all prospects want. So you're going to want to write these down. And again, please mute your phones as you hop on, your computers as you hop on. Number one, this is important. All prospects want to be right. All prospects want to be right. Right? Everybody wants to be right. Right? I mean, like nobody sits there and like it's like, hey, I'm going to go in and have this conversation and I'm going to say something and I want to be wrong. No, absolutely. Everybody wants to be right. And so when you recognize that, you'll realize that just like any good communication, the goal for you is not to be right. The goal for you is to have them understand what you're talking about, right? And what it is you're offering. Number two, all prospects want to be heard and understood. And I'll say that again. All prospects want to be heard and understood. All right? Again, think about this just like anything else. Communication between husband and wife or, anybody else that you have a relationship with, there's always going to be disagreement at some point. The goal of that conversation is not to be the winner. The goal of that conversation is to be heard and understood so that you can move forward in the correct path. And if you can remember that as a salesperson, right? Because I know we say we don't sell, we just share. But here's the deal. This is direct sales, right? So you do have to make a sale. And so with that, I mean, you don't have to make a sale, but if you don't make a sale, you're not going to be doing direct sales for very long, right? Because you got to have success. That's what, that's what the basics of this is. So with that said, we'll move into this. There's a few different times that you can handle objections, all right? And again, you're going to want to write all this down. So I'm trying to go kind of slow here. The best time to handle objections is before, all right? Before the sales pitch or before you're actually, asking them to become a customer. So write that down, before, all right? So here's the thing. If you are going in and you're talking to prospective customers and you're making your sales pitch, there could be a myriad of objections that come from that, right? Well, what about this? Well, what about this? And those are fine, and we'll talk about handling those. But if you are going out and talking to people about these products and this opportunity, and you're constantly getting the same objection, then you need to relook your sales pitch, right? And I'm gonna, I can't do that here with you right now, but I'm gonna ask that you get with your upline, you get with someone that you trust, right? And you take a look at exactly the conversations that you're having. Now, our world is a little more specific. You know, Zig was an amazing sales guy. He was an amazing speaker, teacher, but the game's changed a lot since he did it, right? A lot of times now we're operating via text, messenger, whatever it may be. I'm going to encourage you, if you don't feel like you're coming off correctly in text, to do everything that you can to get into a verbal conversation with the people that you're offering these products to. All right, remember, text is amazing, and some of you guys are really, really good with it, right? But text is 93%, you know, the stuff that we're not, you know, that we're not using. It's communication. So 7% of communication is the actual words and the content. The other 93% is body language, tone, and those things are not included in text message. So maybe you're one of those people that you don't have the best pitch down in text, but you could deliver it amazingly if you just pick up the phone and talk so they can hear your tone, right? Because as we read our messages, we're reading them in the tone that we want them to be received in, right? But here's the thing. Most people will not read them in the tone that you want. They'll read them in the tone that they perceive you to have sent them to them in, right? And you can't control that. So if you're having a difficulty communicating with someone, right, and you're using text, the first thing I would do is I would absolutely look at picking up a phone. The second thing, if that's not working, I would 100% relook what your initial pitch to them is, what that conversation looks like, what it is you're focusing on. If somebody's always coming back to you and saying it's about the money is a problem, you need to relook what your original pitch is. All right. And again, your upline can help you with all those specific things. If not, add me on Facebook, shoot me a message, and I'll help you. All right. Now, number 2, the second time you can handle an objection, all right, is during the presentation. All right. If you have somebody that objects to something, you know, while you're giving the presentation, and it is appropriate to answer at that time, right? So if they give you some off the wall thing and you're not even talking about that part of it yet, this is what you're going to do. All right. And again, this is 5 steps. So this is during the presentation. All right. 1, you're going to hear out the objection. You're going to hear out the objection. Remember, back in the beginning, one of the things that we said is the 2 basic things that all prospects want is they want to be right, and they all want to be heard and understood, right? You know, you cannot be the smartest person in the room. You can't answer the question before it's been fully asked. Please mute your microphones, everyone. Again, hear out the objection. Number 2, you're going to tell them, and this is verbatim, so I'm going to give you the quotation marks here. I'm really glad you raised that issue. I'm really glad you raised that issue. What this shows is that, you know, 1, you're listening and you're receiving the information that they're giving you, and you're acknowledging what their question is. All right? You should be happy that they're asking questions. And remember this, right? Someone who's asking questions is interested in your product or service. If they're not asking questions, right, then they may not be that interested, right? So be happy that they're asking that, and let them know, hey, I'm really happy that you answered, or that you raised that issue, you know, and then you're going to move on, all right? And this is what you're going to come back with. You're going to change the objection to a question. And so let's just say if somebody tells you, hey, but it costs $100, that's too much money. That's their objection. Your question to them would be this. This is step 3. Your question would be, just so I understand you correctly, you're telling me that you're concerned because $100 a month is too much money. Is that correct? So you see what I did? Someone said, hey, $100 a month is too much money for the product. You're going to ask them the question and confirm it. This does two things. One, it tells them again that you're paying attention to what their concern is. Number two, when you take an objection and you change it to a question, you know, objections can be like passionate and fiery sometimes, right? Like, yeah, but it's coffee and a pill for $100 a month. That's too much, right? And people can get like passionate and animated, right? But when you take that information and then you ask them as a question, what you're doing is you're kind of taking the edge off of it. Now they're understanding that you hear what they're saying. They're going to be less fired up, less emotional about this, right? And now we can work with answering questions, right? Because we can answer questions all day. Objections are what we have problems with, right? So you change that to a question, you're going to take the edge off, and they're going to be much more reasonable, right, in the rest of that interaction. All right, step 4, all right? You're going to ask them this. Is this the only question that you have? Is this the only question that you have? Okay, super simple. And they're going to be like, yeah, you know, I'm just concerned because it's way too much money. All right. And so you're going to, okay, great. So that's the only question that you have. Yes, it's the only question I have. Going on to step 5. Step 5, use the question as the reason they should buy. Use the question as the reason they should buy. So in this case, if somebody tells you that $100 a month is too much money for our products, for example, what I would come back and say, well, I believe that I would spend way more than $3.30 a day to have amazing health. Wouldn't you agree with that? And they would say, well, absolutely, I would agree with that. Well, you're in luck, because guess what? Our products for our full dose is only $3.30 a day, right? And then I would go into detail and talk about some of the benefits that are being offered, some of the reasons why they cannot afford to not take our products, such as the money I've saved on junk food alone has been more than $100 a month. I don't buy any of the sugary sweets, and I don't have the soda that I used to have or the energy drinks that I used to have. I used to run to Starbucks every day and spend $5 on a coffee. Now I just have my daily dose, my coffee and my pill right at my house. I'm saving myself $1.70 every day that I do that. And my health's better than it's ever been. I don't see how you can afford not to spend $100 now on these products. And that's the basic gist of objection handling. So again, understanding that as we go through and we objection handle, and this is step by step by step, all right? Now, this is something that if you're doing via text, right, will probably come across fairly easily. If you're doing this in conversation, this will take practice. Remember that when we're just starting out in the business, all right, and we're learning to do anything, like Zig Ziglar says, anything worth doing is worth doing bad, right, until we can do it well. All right, so you just have to get out there and do it. When we're new affiliates, when we're just getting started, this is a numbers game. The more people we talk to, the more success we will have. And are you going to mess up? Sometimes, right? But that's okay. You just get right back on the horse. But this is the basics of objection handling. Now, you're probably sitting there and you're saying, well, wait a second. What happens if they have more than one question? That's a really, really good question. I love that you guys are asking this stuff. Here's the thing, right? If someone has another objection, you're going to repeat that process again, okay? And if this same person comes up and has multiple objections, like one after the next, and you've gone through the process twice, right? Here's what you're going to do, and this is a big one, right? So they're going to say, well, what about, this? Is it gluten-free, right? It's like, we all know that the answer to that's yes, but let's just say, right? Is it sourced all natural, or is it all American? But it's not all American, right? Right. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to ask them a question. All right. So put a big star by this. This is for repeated objections. You're going to do this. You're going to ask them this. And again, quotation marks, because words count, guys. Words count. Would you mind if I ask you a question? would you mind if I ask you a question? That's the first sentence. The second sentence is this the only question that stands between you becoming a customer? Is this the only question you have that's keeping you from becoming a customer? Right? And so if they say yes, then you're going to repeat the process, right? Because what we're doing is we're validating them as a customer. We're going down and we're checking off their list, guys, right? And so what we've done is we've kind of cornered them into a point where they're saying, he's going to answer my questions, and then I have no reason to say no. And here's the thing. People don't want to say no. They want to say yes. No is so final, right? If they say no to you, right, then you're going to have to hit them up later, some other time. But if they're asking you questions, they're interested. And you have to continue to engage with them. But here's what we're going to do so that you're not doing this for an hour and a half, right? This is what you're going to do. You're going to repeat that process if it's the last question. But if they say something, if they hedge, and they say something like, well, you know, there's this and this and this and this and this, you're going to say, okay, hold on one second, please. What you're going to do is you're going to pull out a notepad, just like this, right? And you're going to write down every single objection that they have. And then you're going to read them back to them in the form of a question. And I'm going to say that again. So this is like the big, like, boom, like this is all over it, right? Like this is how it's our grand finale. Like this is how you will lock people down into becoming customers for you. So put a massive like star, and when we're done, go back and put like the cloud things around it. If you got multiple colors, like make it really pretty, right? Draw attention to this. You pull out your notepad, and there is no substitution for this, and you make a list. And you repeat it back to them so they understand what their questions, not objections, what their questions are. And you're going to go through and you are going to validate each one of those questions and let them know why it is that they should become a customer. Why these are not valid problems. Everybody tracking what I'm saying? Can I get a head nod or a thumbs up or something? All right, cool. So what you've done essentially is you created a list of all the things they want. And remember, everybody, they want to be a customer. That's why they're engaging with you. You're going to go through and you're going to answer all of these, right? And once you do, this is the big part, right? You are not going to say anything that remotely sounds like, do you have any other questions? Or is there anything else I can answer for you? Don't do that. You just answered all their questions, right? You just answered them all on the notepad. So don't ask them if they have more they want to add to the notepad. Don't do it, right? Instead, after you get through answering all their questions, say, great. Now let's get you signed up as a customer, right? Super simple. Ask them or read them back the answers. Tell them what, make them feel good. And say, I hope these have all answered to your satisfaction. Let's get you signed up as a customer. And that's the important thing, right? We have to ask them to become a customer at the end of this. You can be an amazing objection handler, but if you don't ask for the sale, you're not going to get it. A lot of people aren't getting the sales right now, not because they're getting objections, but because they're not asking for the sale, right? So these are the objection handling 101s, all right? Again, I want you to remember that list is super powerful. If you have someone that just, you're talking to them and they're asking, they've got all these issues that they see, right? But they're still engaging with you. That is a good sign. Do not get, downtrodden about dealing with problems or issues or perceived problems, right? That is not a bad thing. That is a good thing. You are fulfilling your need when you're doing that. All right. So I'm going to open it up for questions here real quick if anybody has anything. And if not, I'm going to go ahead and hand this back off to my mom or to Miss Amber Davis. Anybody got any questions? Alrighty, I hope you guys found some value in this stuff tonight. Again, I saw my mom throwing some notes up in the chat bar, so thank you guys for letting me talk to you. Mom, I'm going to hand back off to you.
Okay, so this was really good training. I was thinking we were going to 9 o'clock. Guys, everything that Christopher just shared with you is really what helped me to be so successful in corporate sales. I don't want you to fear being in sales. You know, that kind of is sometimes the elephant in the room, and sometimes you might approach someone, or maybe somebody approached you to come and share these products, and maybe your initial thought was, I can't be a salesperson. Maybe you don't like salespeople, right? Or whatever. But the thing that I don't want you to fear is being a salesperson. You are doing such a service to so many because you have an incredible, amazing product that's changing lives. And Christopher talks all the time about belief in our beginner training. You have to have belief in these products. You have to have belief in this industry. And you have to have belief in yourself. And so what he just went through really just allows you to engage in a conversation and encourages you not to fear an objection. And if you can objection handle everything up front before you ask them to be a customer, your likelihood of closing them as a customer probably goes from about 30% to 70 or 80%. Our best builders in here, I'm sitting here looking at Christopher, Paula Guidi, Amber Davidson. All of them use this technique. They objection handle up front. Oh, okay, hey, I understand. You know, I heard you say, right? So, and you kind of start to craft this little list. Okay, oh my gosh, yeah, I understand what you're saying. So I heard you say that you know, it's a budget concern. You're wondering if it's going to interfere with your heart medication. You're wondering if it's going to really help you to lose weight. Are there any other questions that I'm going to need to answer? Because I want to answer your questions, but I want to make sure that I answer all of them. Is there anything else outside of these 3 questions that you've just asked? Right? Or really they are kind of objections, but we'll call them questions, right? Is there anything else that, you know, you're going to have as a question? Because I'm so excited to answer these questions you have. No, I think that's about it. So let me just review again. You have a concern about how it will fit into your budget. You also have a concern about how it might interact with your heart medication. And you're wondering if the products will help you to lose weight. Yeah, that's really it. And then you just answer the questions. Well, here's the really cool news. This is what I found for folks that, you know, are looking at their budget. It's $1.65 a cup and $1.65 for this. What I have found is that most of my customers are not only affording these into the budget, but they're starting to put money back into their bank account. They're saving money on snacks. They're not eating out as much. And when they do eat out, you know, they're sharing, you know, my husband and I are now sharing food with, you know, with each other. And as it relates to the heart medicine, let me share with you my husband's story. My husband has 2 stents in his heart. He'll be 75. You know, and I'll share his story and I'll say, I've got you in the testimonial group. I'm going to tag you in some testimonials that I think will resonate with you. And there's a lot in there, you know, with other testimonials, you know, for similar folks that have probably similar health challenges that you have. And as far as weight loss, you know, I've lost 32 pounds. Phil's lost 20. I just share another story. 26 pounds, right? You know, I'm going to share with you some testimonials in the group. If you want to lose weight on these products, they will aid you. They're going to help curb your cravings. They're going to elevate your mood. But you've got to find a diet that's going to work for you. Do you have a diet that you can add into this program with Dose? Right? And we'll have conversation back and forth. Oh my gosh. And, you know, we'll have conversation back and forth. And we've answered all the questions. Just like Chris said, we've answered all the questions. I am so excited that I've been able to answer all of your questions about dose. I'm signing some customers up, as a matter of fact, tonight with their free account, helping them to place their first order. I'd love to do the same for you. And then you sign them up. You have earned the right to ask for their business. You've educated them, you've engaged them, you've put them in a testimonial group, you've tagged them in testimonials, you found out what they're looking for. You've earned the right to ask them for their business. And if you do some of those things up front, like Christopher has suggested, your chance for a yes, oh my gosh, yeah, that'd be great. I'm so glad I don't have to sign myself up, right? I know. I love helping my customers set them up in their free account and place their first order. And then I said, it's really simple what I need. And I send them that little canned message. Here's what I need. Right? I'll send you a message about 5 minutes before I'm ready to load you into the system, because you'll get a verification code. Right? Get back to doing some of those things if you've gotten away from them. The other thing that we talk about, and Paul or Amber, I'm going to ask one of you too. Guys, listen, when you get a no, right, it honestly means not now. I know that we hear that all the time, but it really does mean not now. No, Cindy, I'm really just not interested right now. I got too much going on, too busy. I don't really, okay, no problem. I understand. Do you care if I stay connected with you, and as we get new products that come out, or I gather new information, I can share those things with you? I'd still like to stay connected with you and be able to share with you some of the things that are happening in our business as we continue to innovate with products. And I'd like to add you to my list just to keep you updated. Nobody's going to say no, don't do that. Of course. And then guess what? You've just given yourself a chance to, have that next follow-up in 2 or 3 or 4 weeks. Hey, Tammy, oh my gosh, I was just thinking about you today. We've got this crazy promotion going on right now on those Xanthamax capsules that I was telling you about. I'm going to tag you in a couple of testimonials, what those can do. But I was just thinking about you, and I told you a few weeks ago I was going to keep you updated, right? And those are just the things that those are the things that we do. And when you really start to get in the flow of this, y'all, be a consultant if you don't want to be a salesperson. Consultants are amazing. You guys have amazing products that people need more now than ever, right? And also, I just want to say to you and suggest to you to not take a no personally. It has nothing to do with you. If you get a no, it has absolutely nothing to do. You've done nothing wrong. You have absolutely done nothing wrong. Has nothing to do with you. Paula, I'm going to ask you, do you want to unmute, girl, and just share a couple of nuggets too? Paula signs up, 15 and 20 and 30 and 40 customers a month. What might you want to add, friend?
I think the biggest thing is don't be attached when you get a no. Cindy's right. It's really got nothing to do with you. You haven't done anything wrong. It's just they're not ready, or they don't have the money, or, there's just something in the way. I think when you are attached to the outcome, I think it holds you back. It like pushes you backwards, and then you get scared to move forward, right? So just don't be attached when they say no. Just move on, go find someone else.
Perfect.
Those are my words of wisdom.
I love it. Anybody else have anything? Any other leaders on here have anything? Bonnie, your good question. I'm voice clipping a lot these days. And guys, I would just encourage you to practice voice clipping. Open up your own messenger, type your name in at the top of the search bar, open up your own messenger, and go in there and practice some voice clips, right? So that you can kind of just practice some stuff, or send it to your friend, or send it to your teammate, or send it to the person that brought you into this business. Hey, I'm testing my voice clip out. How do I sound? Thanks so much. Whatever you want to say, right? So, who else? Is there anybody? Stace, do you want to say anything, girl?
You know, I do. I love this training tonight. I absolutely needed it. So much of it I knew, but have not been implementing. And you know, there again, I want to say plugging in is so vital and so important, because just over the last 2 weeks, by surrounding myself with such strong leaders who already are reiterating this over and over again to me, I've actually been having the phone conversations, you know, for the last few days, and got a new affiliate today. And I'm finding that the conversation just comes with ease. So, you know, with all the great training, it's about hearing it again and again, because it gets integrated into you and who you are. And you'll get off the phone and go, oh my gosh, where'd that come from? Because it just flows out, because it's there. So, you know, I love these trainings. I love being on and just soaking it up like a sponge. You guys are awesome. Thank you, Christopher, Paula, Cindy. Thank you so much.
I love it. Who else has anything to share or questions? Guys, listen, if you have a question, I promise you somebody else does, right? Maybe you're in a conversation right now that you want some help with. Maybe you have been, you know, in a position where, you know, the one thing I love that Christopher said, guys, and we hear this all the time, if you are not getting the results that you want, and you just keep doing the same things over and over and over, right? Why would you think you're going to get any different results? I mean, it's time to reassess and reevaluate. And we all have to do that in our business, in our personal lives. You know, I don't care, you know, geez, Cindy, I want to lose another, you know, 15 pounds, which I don't know. I don't exercise, right? And I say it all the time. I've got to get 15 pounds off. I'm going to start tomorrow, right? And then I have the same habits that I had the day before and the day before and the day before. Nothing's going to, my 15 pounds isn't just going to go away until I change something in my daily routine. I got to get up and exercise, and I got to watch what I put in my mouth, and I got to do those things. I know what I need to do. This business is no different. You know, if you don't have a new customer, then it's time for you to, and you haven't had a new customer for a while, then you've got to reassess and reevaluate why you don't. Is it happening in the conversations? Are you not getting them in the testimonial group? Because I'm telling you, it's very basic activity. Small, tiny actions each day will get you results. But if you're not doing the small actions and activity each day, you're going to get the results you've been getting. And guys, I'm just as guilty of this as any of y'all. I'm glad I have 3 customers. My goal is 7. I want that $100. I know where I'm falling short, right? I know where I'm aimlessly scrolling through Facebook, commenting on stuff that doesn't matter. You know, I'm not spending the time or the energy where I need to do what I need to do. I'm not tagging enough people in testimonials. I'm getting distracted. I still got to run a personal business. So I know where I'm falling short. And, you know, and reassessing and reevaluating, you know, in our business, in our personal lives, I think is so important. Who else has a question? Onay, did you want to say anything, girl? You're looking good tonight. All purdied up.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for the training, Christopher. I just wanted to share with people that this is a numbers game. And if you're just focusing on 1 or 2 people, you're going to be super committed to their outcome. But if you continue to talk to many, many, many people, you're not going to have time to worry about those no's, because you're going to continue to just keep plugging forward, plugging forward, plugging forward. And if you're just talking to one person and stop at that point, you're going to be disappointed every single time.
Oh my gosh, that's such a
numbers game.
Oh my gosh, Onay, that's so good. How many of y'all do that? Like, okay, I got to get my 7 customers for the month to get my cab. and you focus on 7 customers and that's it. And then guess what? Out of 7, 2 sign up. And those are the only ones you've been hounding and following. And now if you do some of these techniques that Christopher just taught you tonight, you're going to have more success with your 7. But to One's point, you got to be engaged in more 7 conversations if you want to get your 7 cab bonus. And then when you get the no or not now or maybe next month, right? You know, you've got a pool of 20 or 30 some people that you're talking to all the time. You're engaging. What do we say? Engage in 2 new conversations every day. If we got 30 days in a month, that's 60 conversations in a month. Oh, but I can't, I've talked to everybody. No, you haven't. Go back and talk to the people you talked to 12 months ago, 5 weeks ago. You have not talked to everybody, I promise you. You know, let's just say you have 500 friends on your Facebook. Well, I don't know them all. I don't really know them that well. They're just friends, they're acquaintances, they're peers, get to know them. Go out and get to know them. Jump on Power 30 and learn how to engage. You know, if you're just talking to the same 20 people because and I know how that is. That's how I use Facebook. I could see stuff, but I was kind of a creeper. Christopher will tell you that's what he did, right? But now I'm in there and I'm engaging with people. Even now, the Power 30 is rocking my world right now because I'm getting into conversations with people that have been friends of mine for years. I just haven't engaged them. And I'm going down and I'm making comments on Facebook. So we're going to teach you how to do that. But my point is, if your results are not changing, then it's time for you to change something. And that's real. I mean, I think that's it. Amber, Chris, do you want to wrap it up? I mean, I really, Mindset Monday's up next. For me, I'm going to watch the recorded version of Mindset Monday. It's late here on the East Coast. And I use Chris Schwada's Mindset Monday to get me going and Philly going in the early mornings. We replace him with Joel Osteen. And I love the recordings, but I'm better to get fired up and pumped up in the morning from Chris Schwada than I am at 9 o'clock Eastern on the East Coast. Y'all, it's your business. If you feel like hanging up and this is going to be where you're going to get pumped up and fired up, let's get in with Chris Schwada. He's up next with Mindset Monday. For me personally, I'll watch the recording and I'll get fired up in the morning to take me through a day, right? Chris, anything that you want to say as we wrap up?
I do real quick, Cindy.
Okay, Mama.
Hey, sorry, no camera tonight, guys. Shower and jammies. One thing I started doing is just keeping it simple, you know, telling our story like we always say, but I did almost like a little biography pretty much with like before and after pictures of just where I started with these products and where I'm at now. So just to it's kind of like an upfront objection handling thing, because I was negative about a lot of stuff in the beginning, you know, the cost and all that good stuff. So it kind of gives them a summary of how I felt and what they've done for me, and it might answer their questions beforehand. And I send it an email to my email list, and I'm also handing it out with some of my experience packs that I'm giving to people. So that's something new I started doing as well.
I love that.
Yeah, that's it.
I love it, Amber. I mean, Amber's just being real. Hey, you know, I found something I think you might be interested in. Let me tell you what it did for me. Right? And she can say what her objections were, and how she overcame them. So what she's doing is she's sharing her story up front, and it's probably a lot of this, you know, I thought, well, how much is this going to cost me? And then I realized this, and then I thought, you know, is it even going to taste good? Whatever, right? But she's objection handled a lot, right? And now she can just go and say, well, so let me get you in our testimonial group, and what questions might you have, right? You know what I mean? She's objection handled a lot of stuff up front. You know, our little list we do that we send to people when they're getting started, we objection handle right up front, don't we? Hey, you might get a headache. You might be nauseous, right? You might be jittery. You might not like the flavor. Guys, that's what we do in our getting started document. I hope you're all sending it out. We objection handle right up front. Oh my gosh, I have a headache. It's day 3. Wait a minute. Cindy told me I'm going to go back and look at that getting started because Cindy told me I might get a headache. I might add some, I need to balance my electrolytes, put a pinch of pink Himalayan salt in there. When you can objection handle up front, which is what Christopher just talked about all night, what Amber just shared that she's doing up front, objection handling, what we do with our getting started directions, objection handling up front, man, not only are you going to have a better chance of bringing them on as a customer, but guess what? You're going to have an amazing chance, you know, at retaining them as a customer long time. And we'll do some trainings on that too, about what we can do for retention. Guys, get back to signing them up. Does everybody know how to sign up a customer? Does everybody have those canned responses? Get back to offering to set your customer. Oh my, even if you don't have anybody else you're setting up. Oh my gosh, I'm setting up some of my other friends tonight with their free account and helping them to place their first order. I'd love to do the same for you. Oh my gosh, that'd be great. Because trust me, they don't want to navigate all that stuff. And let me tell you something, they're not going to have a problem getting you their credit card number. And if there's an objection, just say, hey, you know what? I'll send you a message and you can just call me and you can just give it to me over the phone. They are, guys, I give it to my pizza, Marco's Pizza and Papa John. I do that all the time. Y'all do it too. They're not going to have an objection if you handle it right. And you're their friend. And I gave it to the Papa John's pizza guy 2 nights ago. Right? We do it all the time. Y'all are putting your stuff in, ordering stuff off of Amazon. As a matter of fact, your card, if you're an Amazon Prime person like me, your card sits on Amazon Prime and is exposed to, because I'm always on Amazon Prime. So don't get hung up about that. Don't use that as a reason or an excuse yourself for not offering to set up somebody's account. It's easy sometimes, right, for us to come up with excuses as to why we don't or shouldn't or couldn't or don't do things. Take the objections away for yourself as well. Chris, do you have anything else? I think we're good.
Nope, that completes it for me.
Awesome. Guys, I mean, this has been fun. We need to do more of this. This has been a little different tonight, right? And I really, I loved it. And everything that, you know, Chris was saying tonight was just like I was back at Xerox training in Leesburg, Virginia, which I attended lots and lots of weeks of. Christopher will tell you. I was gone when he was little for Leesburg training for Xerox Corporation. And this is what they teach. And if you can get just a few of these things down now and into practice, right? We'll keep reminding you, you are going to up your game so much. You are going to take your business to the next level, I promise you. Get out of your comfort zone. Ask the people that you're having conversation with to be your customer. Let them tell you no. And like Onay said, go get you in the next conversation and the next one and the next one. Because they're out there. You have not tapped in to every opportunity that you have. I've been doing it 27 months, and let me tell you something. I got so many people I need to be reaching out to. It's not funny. You can do this, you guys. You can do this. Thank you for joining us tonight. Shweda's up in just a couple minutes. And thank you, y'all. I love you so much. And tomorrow morning coffee talk, and then we got Power 30 right after. And then we even have Power 30 tomorrow night. Thanks, guys.
Have a good night. Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.